infrastructure kind of for progression. I can't remember which speaker mentioned the importance, I think it was Alison, of, you know, when somebody's done a piece of research, to be just then left, okay, it's over, like, thanks very much, off you go. But so to start creating a kind of an infrastructure whereby those skills then are available to other research studies, or within their, or recognised within their own organisation. I suppose something that could be useful, and it was mentioned by some of by the group work here, is maybe a kind of a review of the positive impacts, I mean, that service user research has had. So, look, this works, it's good for these reasons. The concrete examples that Jan presented, that Paddy and Jim and Mike have presented, you know, this type of research leads to real change. Okay, it may take time, but all change takes time. But there is strong evidence that it leads to real change. Ensuring quality and having a mechanism, again, for ensuring quality in service user research, I think, is important. I suppose there's what was coming through in a lot of the discussion is maybe the need for actions at a more strategic or systems level. Things like guidance maybe to ethics committees on what service user research is, how it's done, why it's valid and reliable. You know, that's a kind of a bit of a gap there. A piece on the payments thing, you know, and how to get, you know, how that could be addressed. That's a more kind of systemic, national, strategic type action. I suppose links, it was interesting, advocacy wasn't mentioned very much today, but going back to the very first person who spoke today, the Vice President of Research, Brian, mentioned convergence. And I suppose at some point, it's not something that's going to happen tomorrow or within a few months, but I think when, you know, as service users, there's a sort of a sense of a research structure coming together, or some sort of cohesiveness there, coherence, that there is a need to include other disciplines and to converge, as he was saying. And I think there are lots, you know, there are supportive clinicians out there who are very interested and have already done lots of research with service users, or some research with service users. But there are other structures that could be tapped into. Again, this is possibly more longer term, but the likes of the Irish College of Psychiatrists, you know, Mike is blazing the way there and speaking at their meetings and so on. But again, that is a way of, you know, breaking down those barriers and chipping away. It's going to be a slow process. There are now these executive clinical directors. You know, it's a smaller number of clinicians to deal with in terms of service users engaging. You know, with a kind of a small number who have a lot of impact. So I think there are lots of different ways, lots of different avenues to kind of progress the service user research agenda incrementally. And I think there's lots of positivity and potential in it. Any body that's using public funding to fund research has to have a very stringent set of procedures in place, and you know, they have to, for example, be able to show that the research is very high quality, is going to meet its aims, you know, that they're giving money to experienced, and for that reason, they tend to give money to experienced researchers, because you're kind of taking a gamble on you know, less experienced researchers. But I mean, there are ways around that, and this kind of partnership approach, I think, is really useful. And having a criteria that service users really must be involved in the whole process is one way of achieving that.